The next question we have. Though in Hinduism we have all the extraordinary powers and knowledge of great weapons like Brahmastra, why did we set back? What was the exact reason behind the fallback? Which era of human history Hinduism started declining?
So, there's a system of being vigilant about others that our tradition had. And we lost that system, and that's when the decline started. There is a system called Purva Paksha, and I write quite a lot about it. Purva Paksha means you study the other. Whoever is the other, you study them. You're always learning about who they are, what they're thinking of, and you're giving them a response. You're giving them a response from your point of view. So the Vedic people were doing Purva Paksha with the Buddhists, Buddhists were doing with the Vedic people, and the Advaita people were doing with Purva Mimamsa and so on. There were different ideologies, different schools of thought, and they were always practicing this with each other, and therefore they were on their toes, they were always improving. But somewhere along the way, we stopped doing Purva Paksha, especially when there was a foreign intrusion. So when Christians came and settled in the Malabar coast and Kerala, the early Syrian Christians, soon after Christ, we didn't do a Purva Paksha of them. We just didn't bother. When early Muslims came, we didn't do a Purva Paksha of them. When more recently Marxists came, we didn't do a Purva Paksha. When the British East India Company came, no Hindu scholars said, let's do a Purva Paksha of who these people are, what is the difference between the British East India Company and the French and the Dutch and the Danish, the Portuguese, all these different types of people were coming. Who are they? What's their ideology? How do they operate? How can we play one against the other the way they're playing us one against the other? We just didn't understand them the way they understood us. They invested a lot to do Purva Paksha on us. They sent anthropologists and missionaries to study us, and a lot of people wrote travelogues when they went back. So they were going on accumulating more knowledge about us. And knowledge is power. When you understand the other side, you gain power. We were complacent. We were lazy. So I would say that the intellectual leaders of our society were either too proud, too arrogant, too afraid, maybe lazy, but did not study the other all these centuries and prepare us how to deal with them. So it was easy for them to come and take us apart and, kill us in this way or take over our culture or do something or other. And it was we weren't ready to give back. We weren't ready to respond in a certain manner. I think it's that, the lack of understanding of who these others are that are coming here, which gave them the ability to defeat us. Do you know, in army, old days, the elephant was a very powerful weapon because elephant is high. So either the enemy was on foot or at best on horses. So they were lower. And so somebody sitting on an army with a spear or with bows and arrows could shoot down very easily. And those people were not able to shoot up and get to the person on an elephant. And India had thousands of elephants in these armies. And ordinary king could have several hundred or several thousand elephants. And those guys coming from far away, those countries were deserted areas, they didn't have elephants, they just didn't. And they hadn't trained the elephant armies the way Indians did. So this was a major protection of India. But then, it's the Genghis Khan people, and before that a little bit, who mastered horse riding standing on the horse. So instead of sitting on the horse, they could stand on the horse and the horse is running real fast. Now you're at the height of an elephant. If you stand on the horse, you're at the height of an elephant. So from that military style, the Turks learned this because the Genghis Khan people had taken over a lot of they conquered those areas, Central Asia, Turkey, those kind of places, Iran. So when those people started invading India, they would defeat the elephant army. And Indians should have learned and then improvised. But we didn't change our military methods. We just didn't study them and say, okay, now they got a new weapon, we have to create a new weapon. This business of not studying the other is a very, keeping your eyes closed, living in a silo, putting your head in sand, being isolated, being introverted. You know, I leave them alone, they leave me alone. It doesn't work. You have to engage, you have to wake up, you have to face the reality. And I think we lost because our leaders were not courageous enough and brave and bright enough to face the reality with eyes open. And we didn't learn who these guys are and how to defeat them.